And welcome back, everyone, to Cyrus Webb Presents here on Amazon Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. If you guys are new to us on the Amazon platform, welcome. Glad you all could be with us. We've had a very busy July, have an even busier August coming up, if you can believe it. So make sure you guys do hit that follow button. You see it here in this corner or down below. You also will see two of the books from our next guest. We're excited to welcome back Tanya White to our broadcast. She's the author of this book, Professionally Lynched. You guys can see it here. And also, of course, you can see there's another book by hers as well, The Prayers of the Righteous. It also is here in the carousel for you guys joining us on Amazon. We're going to talk to Tanya not only about what it's been like for her to build her platform as an author and speaker, but she also is a media personality as well. She's the host of the show. You guys can see her behind her there, Real Talk with Tanya White. We're going to talk to her about how it all started and how you guys can be able to follow her. We are broadcasting on a simulcast today. So we do have our friends joining us on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, X, and on Instagram. So glad you all could join us there as well. But Tanya, welcome back to the broadcast. Glad to speak with you.
Thank you, Cyrus Webb, the GOAT of internet radio.
Well, look, I don't know about all that, but Tanya, it's hard to believe the last time we had one of these interviews, we were in person together for the first time there in Louisville, Kentucky, which was a lot of fun there at Black Coffee, a place you introduced me to. So thank you so much for that. So Tanya, a lot for us to talk about, of course, for those who don't know you as an author, as I mentioned on the Amazon side, we have your book, Professionally Lynched, highlighted in the carousel there. We're going to talk about that, but also about your platform. What has it been like for you, Tanya, with the many hats that you wear, to not only to introduce yourself to the world, but also to be able to see how you're able to share the stories of others as well?
Well, Cyrus, listen, I grew up in Louisville, Kentucky. Mm-hmm. Little church girl, mama and daddy always active in everything in school. So everything that was over, I was in. So the many hats that people say, how do you do it all? That's how I grew up. My mom and dad worked day jobs. They was very active in my school, in church, in the community. So we were always on the go. I was always involved in something. So time management of multiple activities has come natural to me. I do work a full-time job. I'm a school director at an adult high school. But I've been doing the multiple professional day job and building my career as an author and media host since 2005. And what I've learned, even after a certain age, I'm in the 50 club, you must pre-plan, be consistent, and do your follow-up. And so as I wear these many hats and I'm growing and I've been doing this, what I love for so long, it is very, you must pre-plan, follow up, and be consistent. So you won't be out of bounds and have everything coming to you at once.
Yeah. It's a great advice for all of us. I want to say hello to you, Renee the Diva. Good to see you over on the IG side. Just had a great interview, Tanya, with Renee the Diva. She's a great media personality there as well. Hello to you. Miss Chris, hello to you. Good to see you over there on the IG side as well. For those tuning in, I see you guys over there on YouTube. Appreciate you guys joining us as well. Again, if you guys are not following Tanya, we're going to let you guys know how to be able to do that as well. So you mentioned 2005 was the year for you, Tanya. I think for a lot of people, they know they have something, right? I'm a firm believer. Everybody has something. Yes. But being able to figure out what that something is and how to use it is a different thing. How did you figure out how you wanted to harness the gift that you had?
Well, I've always been a writer. I was that student. I was an avid reader and a writer. I was the one that you hated in high school. We're going to read a book. Hey, teacher, we're going to do a book report. I want to do a book report. So I've always loved writing. But 2005, I really was a hard year. That's when my mom died from lung cancer. And back then, therapy wasn't as accepted as it is now.
Right.
And so writing became my therapy. And so it was how she died and everything was all we found out. Lung cancer in November, and within 5 months she was gone. So it was a quick turnaround. And so when you lose your mother, we lost our dad in 96, and my mother was there to help us because not only was that her husband, but that was our father. But losing the mother, the woman who gave you life, knocks the life out of you. And so writing became my healing. And so I started back then, what was called e-newsletters, Tanya's Tips. Now it's called Blog. And just really encouraging people to give them tips for the day to transform their tomorrow. And that like blew up, and people really wanted to hear what I had to say. And then that turned into books. And then my books at that time, I had a coach, and she said to get your message out there, you got to do some radio. And back then it was Blog Talk. I am not the person. I was like, radio, oh my God. But that was, yeah, I love behind the scenes. But when she said radio and she explained it to me, coached me, that became another vehicle for me to not only heal, but to hear other people's backstories, connect with people who had the same message of, love, life, and healthiness. And so that's really where Real Talk with Tanya White began in 2008 on Blog Talk Radio. And it became quickly one of the popular shows on that platform. And since then it has evolved. Now we're on a local radio station, and now we're going to make some moves to being on YouTube and other social media platforms.
Exactly. We're going to let our audience know more about that. Hello to you, Chick Ladies, ATL, good to see you. Dorian Evans, hello to you over there on IG. David Atkins, hello to you over there on IG. Melissa Banks, hello to you over there on Facebook. We're going to let you guys, of course, know how to stay connected with Tanya. We're excited to be working with Tanya now and helping her to be able to share her show with all of you. She has a lot of great things coming up. And Tanya, that's the other side of what you've been able to do. Yes, you're an author. You're a media personality. As you mentioned, you're an educator. But you also are an example to other people as to what's possible. Now, being on the outside looking in and watching you over the years, that seems to be where you feel the most comfortable. Would you say that's true, that being an inspiration to others and reminding other people what they can do, is that kind of the greatest gift you've been given?
Absolutely. And that's my purpose. And that is my self-care as well. If I can do it, you can too. If people think it's where you come from, oh, it came easy for you. You came from a family with a mother and father. Yes, I'm the middle class bougie princess. I'm a daddy's girl. So yes, I'm spoiled, but life's after a certain age. And where you come from is not where you're going to go and how you get certain opportunities. It's who you are and what you do consistently. And I keep saying it consistently as to how you inspire and create other opportunities for yourself. And so whether you're coming from, a traumatic childhood or a pleasant childhood, my childhood was pleasant. I had parents who loved me. I loved them. Our family was a staple in the church and in the community. But after a certain age, I'm Joe White and Irma's daughter. I'm this and that. But I had to prove myself and do what I needed to do. And that takes consistency and plan. And like I say, follow up. And that's how I created for so many years to be an inspiration to people. People call me and say, hey, I want to do what you do. Can you help me? Yes. And so it's no, it's not a hard thing to do. It's just real simple.
I want to pull on that a little bit more, Tanya, because you said something as you were saying, and I thought to myself, this is a challenge for a lot of people. I have interviewed a lot of people over the years. And one thing, there's so many people who have gotten used to being, Janet Jackson talks about this, that she was Michael's sister.
Yeah.
Instead of being seen for who she is. How did you get to that place where you were comfortable with being Tanya White? Because as you mentioned, people may know you from your parents, may know you from doing this. How did you get comfortable with just being who you are outside of all of that?
It was a process, and it's still a process as you grow older. But you really, honestly, the key was really getting in tune for who am I? Yeah. Who am I outside of the roles I play, outside of my family? Who am I, and who do I want people to know me as my life legacy? And when I really got in tune with who I am, got healthy with knowing, listen, I'm not a typical size 8 or anything. I've always been in the big, beautiful category. So I had to deal with that. I had to deal with who am I outside of my parents? Both of my parents were gone. Who am I? And that took a lot of coaching. It took a lot of therapy that I finally got into, and being comfortable with who I am, knowing that I'm not perfect. I will always make more mistakes than successes, and that's okay. And then apologizing when I am wrong, and knowing that apology may not mend the relationship with family, friends, and even business partners, but knowing, hey, I first of all acknowledge that I'm wrong. I apologize, and then I have to move forward. And so it's a life process, and really getting to know who you are, and really saying, hey, do I want a healthy life? If I want a healthy life, not only physically, but emotionally and spiritually, it takes some work on my part.
Yeah, appreciate that. Addie, hello to you. Addie says, late here, but listening. Glad you could be here, Addie, and the replay will be available as well. I want to welcome all of you guys tuning in. Appreciate you guys showing the love. MPE officially, hello to you. Good to be able to see you over there as well. For those who are just coming in, welcome. You're watching Cyrus Webb Presents here on Amazon Live, is where we're broadcasting primarily, where you can see the books from Tanya White, but we are simulcasting for Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, X, and also on Instagram. Now, you'll find a link on Facebook and LinkedIn, as well as YouTube, that'll bring you over to Amazon to be able to get Tanya's books. We'll make sure that we share it in the stories on Instagram, but also as a feature there as well on X as well. So you guys can be able to find it there. I want to talk about this book, Professionally Lynched, because last time we were together in Louisville, Kentucky, Tanya, we talked about that. I have it highlighted in the carousel for those joining us here on Amazon, because talking about embracing who you are, it also is realizing what you deserve. And one thing about you, Tanya, I tell people all the time, one of my big catchphrases is two things can be true at the same time. One is you can be humble and assured of who you are, but also knowing what you deserve. You kind of address this in Professionally Lynched, where a lot of times people do not speak up for themselves. A lot of times they do not realize, or at least they don't acknowledge when things are happening that are not right to them. Professionally Lynched is a perfect example of your story, being able to speak up for yourself, advocate for yourself, but also show others how they can do it. Tell our audience that are just finding out about it, Tanya, how did you decide to write your story in this book?
Well, wow. So I was an educator in the Louisville area for 20 years. 13 of those was a special ed teacher. 7 was a school counselor administrator. The Professionally Lynched side was based on when I got a seat at the decision-making table. And so everything was good when I was a teacher. But when I became an administrator, it was like, yeah, we invite you to the table. Yes, we need Black administrators. Yes, we want the Black voice. We want you to be diverse and inclusive. But was it welcoming? Absolutely not. And so for so long, people say, hey, yes, this world. Now, listen, I'm from Louisville, Kentucky, and I tell you all the time, we are the city of Breonna Taylor. And how our city operates is how many of our organizations operate. And so I was not shocked at the secrets of our police department coming out, because that's what was happening, not only in the school systems, being unequitable and being very racist, but it was happening in many organizations. And what we're taught as Black people, especially Black women, is you ought to be glad that you got a job. You ought to be glad that they gave you this position instead of you earning it and deserving it. You ought to, don't rustle any feathers. Just be quiet. But I couldn't be quiet because I was internally really, I didn't know I was depressed until my therapist told me I was severely depressed, and we worked through that. And that was because I was stuffing everything that happened to me as a Black educator and administrator, being targeted, basically being lynched for speaking up and advocating, doing everything that my job title wanted and the district wanted. But when you do it, they look at you like, who does she think she is? Who does she think she is, speaking up for the Black and brown students and empowering the parents and telling the parents, hey, you don't have to take this, telling students, hey, tell your mom and dad. And so when you disrupt the system of racism, institutionalized racism, they try to put you into place. And that's exactly what this book is about. It was, like I said, I was there for 20 years. 13 were glorious. I was a teacher. I didn't have a seat at the decision-making table. But once I got there, it was like, she is unwelcome. She got too much influence. People are being too inspired and empowered by this little chocolate girl. who we gave a chance, and we got to shut her up and we got to shut her down. And so the book chronicles everything that happened, and it's very subtle. It's very subtle. And if you get the book, and it's very widespread. Once I start telling my story, very widespread. So that's how I started. I was at the Indianapolis Black Expo one year, and Angel Clay talked about her injustices, workplace injustice, and bullying from her in IT. And I was sitting there like, she is telling my story. And when I left that book talk, I was like, I have the voice and the words now to articulate what I went through. And so that's what I want professionally lynched to be for others who are quietly being lynched, targeted, and being unfairly disciplined and terminated for just doing what their job is.
I want to stay with that for a second. We're going to go back to Real Talk with Tanya White here in a bit. Tanya, but you just said something really interesting. Norma McLaughlin, hello to you. Good to see you over there on IG. RHJ, hello to you. Good to see you over there on IG as well. You know, I think there are a lot of people, and I think it's unfortunate, Tanya, that especially when it comes to women, and then even breaking down more women of color, are sometimes just expected, like you just said. And for those of us who that has not been our experience, you know, we don't know what it's like being in your skin. It's sad to hear. And like you said, though, it's not uncommon. But I want to talk about what it was like for you to be vulnerable on that level, because you are a person that exhibits such strength and authority. What was it like for you to show the vulnerability by telling your story this way?
It was, first of all, refreshing
Okay.
and healing to me, because I had only my close friends and my family, my inner circle family, knew exactly what I was going through then. Like within those 7 years, I took 2 medical leaves because I was really having a breakdown. I couldn't take it anymore. So I took medical leaves. Both of them, included, like, I was almost gone for a whole school year if you add them up together because of the stress, the target. And I was simply doing, and it's not that I wasn't meeting my goals. I was, bringing in students. Students were growing, innovative programs. Parents were calling and saying, hey, Miss White is doing this and Miss White is doing that. But the system, it's like, and that's what gave me the basis for it. It's like if you watch the movie Malcolm X, and when Malcolm and his followers were at the hospital before the gentleman that got beaten up, and they weren't leaving. And once they got what they wanted, all Malcolm did was, put up his hand and everybody quietly left. That was not about, color or anything. It was about power and influence that one man had over a large group of people that were shaking the system and being empowered and inspired. And so that's how this is how I saw myself when I was like, okay, this is what's happening to me. It's not about me as a person. It is about the influence that I was giving and inspiring, empowering people to have that was shaking up the system. And so when I got to that level, because first of all, you think you're crazy, you think it's personal. And when I got over that hump of it's not personal, it's about power and people wanting to keep the system. And if you talk about children of brown and black children, they want them to go from the school to the prison pipeline. They want that to happen. They want what's happening now, the disparities and gaps in education and achievement gaps. They want that to succeed because we make money off of pain. And so when you realize that, and I had to realize it wasn't personal, it was all about power. And I had to take the steps to not only get out of the situation, but also heal myself. And healing came from writing. And so much so that before I even wrote one word, I had the cover, and I was doing the, save the day, getting my audience together as I always do. And ironically, somebody from that same system was upset that I was naming it that and wanted to know what the book was about. And I had to tell them it was about my experience that you all put me through. Point blank, period. So Didn't list any names, but they were running scared. Again, just from because people know me in the community, they know exactly where I work from. So that was it. So I found the courage just to. It's when I said it was not about me, and it was about power. I had to speak truth to the power again and help those other educators. And in the book, I interviewed 3 other ladies from outside of Kentucky as well who went through the same thing in different states.
Wow. And that's why I think what we said earlier is so important about telling your story, which leads us right back to Real Talk with Tanya White. So I want to, for those who are just finding out about it, definitely want you guys to check it out. She has a YouTube channel there. You can be able to see her program. I want to talk about sharing the stories of others. So for those who are just finding out about Real Talk with Tanya White, Tanya, talk to them about what you try to share through the show, and also who's an ideal guest for you for the show.
Yes. So since 2008, we debuted on Blog Talk, I've always said it's Real Talk is rated R for being real, relevant, and refreshing. And so we talk about real issues to enhance your real life, whether it's love life, whether it's spiritual life, whether it's about business, whether it's about writing. But I believe everyone has a story, no matter where you find your success. You have a backstory of how you got there, what it took for you to get there, and what it's take for you to sustain success. And so really it's about hearing people's backstories and knowing that we all have our own story, different, we have different journeys, but the same message of perseverance, progress, and productivity. And so that's what Real Talk is, Real Tanya White is about. I love interviewing authors, celebrities. I've interviewed some celebrities, business people, educators are my love. And so it's anyone who has a message, a book, a product, or even an event coming up, because even when you plan an event, there's a starting point and a backstory of why that event was birthed. And so ideal guests on who I'm looking for in the show is people who simply want to tell their story while they're promoting their product or service.
Love that. We're going to let them know how to stay connected with you. But I definitely want to say for those tuning in on the Amazon side, as I mentioned, some of you have already done it. Make sure you guys get your copy of Professionally Lynched here on Amazon. You can be able to get it now. Of course, the paperback like I have is $21.99, so you guys can see there on Amazon. For those who are joining us on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, again, you'll find the link that will bring you guys over. For those joining us on X, we'll make sure that we put it in the comment section for you guys. Those on Insta, we'll make sure, too, that we're able to put it in our stories, too. Tanya, really appreciate the time. Excited about being able to help you spread the word about the talk show and your platform there. Let our audience know how to stay connected with you.
Stay connected with me on Facebook and Instagram. It's the same, Real Talk with Tanya White. As you can see, Tanya is Tanya. White is in the color. The same handle on Instagram and Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn as well as Tanya White, KY for Kentucky. But yes, we have a Real Talk with Tanya White page on Facebook as well. Join that. Real Talk with Tanya White. Like I said, we're moving platforms. Right now, it's weekly on a local gospel station, but we're moving platforms where we're going to be doing shows on Facebook, YouTube, and we're going to be doing Real Talk at events. So like yesterday, I was the media person for an event, a book mobile launch event, interviewing vendors and participants there. And so we're trying to get out and be the media person, like Real Talk on the streets, just to give your event so people can share and tell their stories and be on Real Talk with Tanya White to inspire and empower people as well.
Love that. Great work you're doing, Tanya. So glad to be able to work with you. Congratulations on all your success and looking forward to our next chat together.
Okay. Thank you so much, Cyrus.
And more than welcome. And we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Cyrus Webb Presents. Until next time, I'm Cyrus Webb saying thank you so much for being with us. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.